What's going on, YouTube? Shout out to all my subscribers. If you're new, subscribe to the channel. Get the lights up from the jump because you already know this gonna be fire. Now tonight, we getting into some mob shit. Anthony Gaspipe Casso. Now he was born in 1942 into the world where violence, corruption, and the mob shadows were just part of everyday life. At the age of just 12 years old, he witnessed his first murder. Now, it wasn't in a movie theater or TV, it was in the streets, like real blood on the pavement, and it was a victim of a mob hit. Now, that early exposure, that hardened him, it toughened him up. Now, he was around men who treated murder like business. Young Casso, he understood what power looked like. He even remembered being disappointed the first time he killed. And we're not talking about a man, but a deer on a hunting trip with his father. He hated how it felt. Yet in the streets, killing would become second nature. Now, from a young age, Casso, he had an obsession with firearms. He'd practice for hours, becoming a deadly marksman. His hands were steady. His aim was perfect. When he wasn't firing guns, he was throwing fists. He developed a reputation as a ferocious street fighter, going head-to-head with Irish gangs that roamed Brooklyn. By 17, he was already making mob-style money, holding a no-show union job, a job where you got paid without lifting a finger. But later on down the line, as he got a little older, Casso wasn't just collecting envelopes. He was loan sharking, extorting, and taking care of business personally. When a drug addict harassed a woman on the street, Casso approached him. You know, the fiend started acting crazy, Casso shot him. He popped him. The law wanted $50,000 to make the case disappear. Vinny the Chin Gigante, a powerful capo at the time, was willing to put up the money to protect him, hoping to take the young earner under his wing. But Casso, even then, was fiercely independent. Casso refused to offer, confident the case would collapse, which it did when the victim refused to identify him. Now, Casso's knack for making money set him apart. He started hijacking trucks loaded with expensive goods. Instead of forcing the drivers at gunpoint, he simply paid them to hand it over. They hand the keys over like it was nothing and claimed that they were robbed. He built relationships with guards at warehouses, bribing them to look the other way. Soon, he was pulling in some serious cash, stealing multiple rigs a week. His reputation exploded. He organized hijacking crews and burglary teams that would punch holes in the walls of jewelry stores, banks, and any businesses that kept safe or deposit boxes. But during the time, Carlo Gambino, the bossest of all bosses, wasn't opening the books. No one was being made at the time, and Casso, he wanted that official protection. And he damn sure he deserved to be made at the time because he was a damn good earner. Now, his chances came when a main man ordered him to send a message. Shoot at someone, don't kill him, just scare him. Casso followed orders, but soon after, another situation demanded real violence. A Jersey contact claimed he couldn't pay for stolen goods because the cops had intercepted the truck. A body drop. Casso was becoming exactly the kind of man the Lucchese's family praised. In the spring of 1974, Anthony Casso was officially made. He walked into the ceremony wearing a $3,000 suit and a $40,000 pinky ring. Even as a full-fledged member of La Cosa Nostra, he never abandoned his side hustles, burglaries, hijackings, and drug dealing. Drug dealing was strictly off the record, a major violation in the mob world. So he kept it quiet. He built ties to a powerful Colombian kingpin, and the money was so overwhelming, he needed oversized safety deposit boxes just to store the cash.
I know how to grind. I started from the bottom.
We have fragrances that represents 5 major factors of the game. Dime essence, for the true dimes of the game, for the ones that knows how it feels to hit ball status. Gold vixen is for the ladies that put love spells on men. She'll have him in a different city Friday, send him home broke to his family by Sunday. Phantom is for the quiet money. They didn't see you exit the room, but could still smell you. Poison petals is for all the boss ladies. Nothing's more dangerous than a female that can put money on you. Then you got Crown Syndicate, for all the hustlers wearing a crown and refuse to come last. Head over to Members 22 and pick what suits you. And for the ones that don't, you never had it in you anyway. Casso opened up 3 restaurants and lived like royalty. He was known to drop $5,000 on a single bottle of wine. Dirty cops were always on his payroll, ensuring he stayed safe and untouchable, but his relationship with other mob figures were more complicated after John Gotti orchestrated the hit on Paul Castellano. Gaspipe and Vinny the Chin Gigante weren't fans. There were even speculation about whether Gigante gave Casso the green light to use a car bomb, a blatant violation of the mob rules to kill Frankie the Chico, which was John Gotti's underboss at the time. The bomb killed the Chico in 1986 using C4 swords from Florida, but the whispers about who approved it never fully went away. Later that same year, Casso himself was ambushed and he was shot 6 times, but survived. Bleeding out, he dragged himself into a restaurant freezer and hid until he felt safe enough to move. At the hospital, he checked himself out the same night, bullets still inside his body. His priority wasn't recovery, it was revenge. Now, Gaspipe, he went to his network of corrupt cops, Louis Eppolito and Stephen Caracappa, who were moonlighting as mob hitmen. Now, they kidnapped James Hydell, a Gambino associate suspected of being part of the hit, and delivered him to Casso. Hydell was never seen again, but Casso wanted bigger answers. He demanded Anthony Ruggiero to be handed over, but John Gotti protected his friend. A sit-down was arranged between Gotti, Sammy the Bull, Vicamuso, and Casso. They hashed out issues about drugs and the unsanctioned attempt on Casso's life. Gotti managed to shield Ruggiero, but Casso made it clear that he wasn't anything to play with. Now, Tony Descarallo, the boss of the Lucchese family at the time, he knew he was facing prison time in that commission case. He wanted Casso as his successor. He was the top earner and he understood the life. But Casso refused. He didn't want the headaches of being the boss. He was already making the money. But he convinced Carallo to get a title to Vicamuso instead, taking the role of underboss himself. In reality, Casso was the driving force behind the family. Now, there was a commission sit-down between Vicamuso, Gaspipe, Sammy the Bull, John Gotti, and Vinny the Chin. John Gotti right off the bat told them that he got guys that's still looking into the Paul Castellano hit, so he was just denying that from the jump. Now you got them asking about the Angelo Ruggiero hit on Casso. It was unsanctioned, especially on the made man. John Gotti let them know that he had nothing to do with it. Yeah, they all wanted Anthony Ruggiero dead, but John Gotti, he had to protect his friend. He said, listen, instead of me killing him, I throw him on the shelf. Now, when they put guys on the shelf, that means they're out of a life. You know, no one can talk to them, no one can look at them. They're ghosts. They can't be in the streets anymore. So if they figure out that they in the streets, you know, trying to make money, committing crimes and doing shit illegal, that's when they die. So John Gotti, he protected them on that end. Now here's where things start to get crazy. Gaspipe's paranoia and ambition led to an unprecedented wave of killings. Authorities would later link Casso to at least 38 murders. He ordered the death of anyone he suspected of betrayal. And I'm talking about capos, soldiers, associates, even people who simply complained about leadership. In 1989, 2 garbage contractors were murdered after Casso learned through NYPD files supplied by his dirty cops that they were cooperating with investigators. He even had an architect who worked on his mansion killed because he suspected the man knew too much and was sleeping with his wife. As the underboss, Casso no longer got his hands dirty. A nod from him was a death sentence. But when rumors of indictments started circulating, he went on a run. One of the biggest mistakes were targeting Fat Pete, a Lucchese capo he believed might cooperate. Fat Pete wasn't gonna say nothing. He was shot 12 times, but he survived. Now, he was mad about the betrayal, so Fat Pete flipped, becoming a star witness against Casso and the Musso. Casso's crew even threatened his parents and shot his sister. But that only made things worse. It made Fat Pete tighten up on security, and it just basically motivated him to pick those guys away for good. The FBI and SWAT would eventually track Gaspipe to his home. Now, this guy was on the run for 3 years. He was finally arrested. At first, prosecutors, they offered him a 22-year plea deal. He tried to negotiate it down to 6 years by offering to cooperate. He pled guilty to all 72 counts, over 30 murders, drug trafficking, racketeering. Now, if he would have went through the trial, of course, they wouldn't have got him for all 72 counts. But his cooperation went sideways. He gave up corrupt FBI agents, which infuriated prosecutors. They cut him off and decided not to use him as a witness. So basically, he told all that shit for nothing. That shows you right there, the government, they play dirty. Casso, he sat for years, believing the government had played dirty, which they did. He exposed lies and cover-ups, even pointing out Sammy the Bull. He had committed perjury about the murders and drug dealings, but the feds didn't care. In 1998, they threw the book at him. The judge, man, he sentenced him to 455 years without parole. Man, that was crazy, and he cooperated, but they was trying to protect Sammy the Bull, because if he was called out on perjury, man, John Gotti and all them, they would have went out on the pills, man, and they didn't want that to happen. Now, in prison, Casso, he never stopped scheming. He bribed guards, assaulted inmates, and he lived like a boss behind bars. But age and illness had caught up to him. He battled prostate cancer, heart disease, kidney problems, and lung issues from decades of smoking. November 2020, Gaspipe tested positive for COVID. He was placed in isolation, then hospitalized, and ultimately placed on a ventilator. His lawyers begged for compassionate release, but the court refused. On December 15, 2020, Anthony Gaspipe Casso died at the age 78 years old. Now, Gaspipe was a mobster feared by everyone, friends, enemies, even law enforcement. His story is a brutal reminder that in a world of organized crime, power and paranoia go hand in hand. Gaspipe Casso built an empire fueled by fear, and in the end, that same fear isolated him until the day he died. That's it, that's all we got for tonight. Don't forget to go to members22.com, cop your fragrance, man. Smell fresh for less. Don't forget to hit the Patreon for longer videos and exclusive content. If you're new, subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell. Hop in the comments. Don't be a stranger.